Have you ever left your fire kit in the rain? Maybe a little pine tar could help. Throughout history, one of the principal uses of pine tar has been as a natural waterproofing agent. And I thought, well, maybe I could use it to waterproof a fire by friction set. Here's the pine tar I made a few weeks ago in my last video. I've got about 8 ounces of the stuff. It's nice and thick and rich. And here is a bow drill set I carved last night out of a cottonwood limb that I had laying in my garage for a couple of years. The spindle is about 8 inches long and maybe just a tad under a 1/2 inch in diameter. The fireboard is maybe a 1/2 inch thick. You can see up in the one end I've got a divot that I've already burned in and notched, but I haven't yet made an ember with it. I thought I'd run my experiment kind of like this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get a baseline experience. I'm going to try to make an ember with my untreated cottonwood set, completely dry, no pine tar on it, just to see how easy or difficult it is, how long it might take me, etc. Use that as a baseline. Assuming I can get an ember with the untreated kit, the next thing I'm going to do is put a good thick coat of pine tar on it and let it dry. Once it dries, I'll once again try to make an ember with a dry but pine tar treated kit and see how that goes. If that works, I'll then soak it all in some water and see if I can use pine tar as a waterproofing agent for a fire kit and still make embers. That's generally the way it's going to go. So give me a second to go get set up and I'll be right back. Alright, let's give it a go. This is my untreated cottonwood set. I've got my favorite 16-inch honeysuckle bow and a stone thunderhead. I haven't yet made an ember with this kit, so wish me luck. I probably bowed a little bit longer than I needed to, honestly, but I wanted to make sure that I got that ember ignited. So anyway, this untreated cottonwood kit works, so that's a good baseline. Let's go coat it in pine tar. It's been a few days since we last met. I put 2 coats of pine tar on my fireboard and spindle. This is kind of what they look like now. They used to be nice
white cottonwood. Still cottonwood, of course, but now it's got a nice dark rich brown color to it. Put 2 coats of pine tar on it, set it out in the sun to let it dry. It was drying, but it was taking an awfully long time. So what I ended up doing was putting it in my wife's oven for a couple of hours at 225 degrees. That dried it out pretty nicely. Kind of left an aroma in the house, but it wasn't too bad, and nobody complained too much about it. So as best I can tell, pine tar is mostly pine resin dissolved in turpentine. And so when pine tar dries, really what's happening is the turpentine is evaporating, and that does take a little while. You can also tell here that I put a few extra divots in my fireboard. I burned them in and notched them just for later demonstration purposes and other uses. So my next goal is, this is the original divot up here in this corner. I want to see if I can get an ember with it dry but coated with a couple of coats of pine tar. See what the differences might be. Is it easier, harder, impossible? Who knows? That's what I'm going to do next, so give me a few minutes to set up and I'll be right back. All right, here we go. A dry cottonwood kit with 2 coats of pine tar. I sure hope this works. I guess the first thing I'll have to do is burn through the pine tar before I get down to the wood. All right, here goes. Wish me luck. Smoking. Had a spider jump on my face. My fireboard is stuck to my little bit of leather. There we've got a nice ember. Aside from the little bit of time it took to burn through the pine tar, I don't think that was any more difficult. Certainly wasn't any easier, but it was no more difficult than with the uncoated cottonwood. Well, that was a success. I'm happy with that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go recoat that fireboard and let it dry. I'll probably have to bake it in my wife's oven, and then we'll come outside probably in a day or two, put it in a bucket of water, soak it really good, and give it a try one more time. Stay tuned. Well, happy Sunday afternoon. It's been about 2 days since we were together last. Here's my fire kit, soaking in a big cup of water. It's been soaking for looks like about 19 minutes now. I put it in this cup of water while I set up my camera and gathered together the rest of my materials. Let's pull it out, take a look at it. I don't need this water anymore. Get rid of the cup. So after I made the last ember a couple days ago, what I did was I went down to the basement and I recoated the divot that I was working in with another coat of pine tar, and I recoated the tip of the spindle. And then, because I knew it was going to take a long time for it to dry in the sun, I popped it into my wife's oven, set it at 225 degrees, and baked it for 2 hours. That dried it out pretty well. When I got done, I noticed that the divot that I'd been working in was getting really thin, and I don't want to have a blowout while I'm trying to do a demonstration for you. So what I decided to do was move to the other side of the fireboard and use this other divot that I had made earlier. It's also coated with 2 coats of pine tar. It's the same end of the fireboard, same materials, everything's the same. And most of what I'm trying to do is see whether or not pine tar will prevent water intrusion into the body of the fireboard and the spindle. So if I happen to leave my fire kit out overnight and I wanted to use it in the morning, I think it's reasonable to think that I would dry it off. I'm not trying to see if pine tar will prevent surface moisture. That's of course not going to be the case. I'm trying to see if it'll keep it from intruding into the interior. So I think drying it off is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. One thing about pine tar though is as the turpentine evaporates, it leaves behind a shiny resin layer that kind of looks wet. I want to make sure I get the water off, but I don't want to rub away any of my pine tar. Clean out the notch, make sure there's no residual water in it. All right, I think that'll do. Let's give it a shot. Wish me luck. First thing I got to do is wear through the layer of pine tar. Getting a little bit of smoke now. Accumulating some dust. We have a good size ember. I think the pine tar did its job. Kept the interior of the fireboard spindle dry. There we go, folks. That ember came quick and easy. And I think that pine tar did its job. Waterproofed my kit. Kept water from intruding over at least 18-19 minutes of soaking. I'm gonna call that success. Well, that's all for this one, folks. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.